gonna need 2 hands for this. Oh, and those books are definitely gonna fall. Here goes nothing, I guess. That wasn't too bad. Put these here. Okay, that's one pile. I'm just gonna slide these books over here so that no more fall down. And then we're gonna do this other one. Jesus, this is tall. My God, why do we have this many books? Sorry if the camera just shifted. I have too many books that I have to bring over. Today we are choosing what books I'm going to be reading in December. Y'all just saw all the books that I brought down from this bookshelf, and these are specifically all the books on my TBR. And I didn't really have a set thing that I wanted to read in December, so I don't have anything to work around. So I thought together we could go through me picking out books and figuring out what I'm going to be reading for the rest of December. I usually focus on physical TBR over any other TBR because the one on Storygraph is kind of my wish list. It's like, here's a book I'm interested in and I will buy that book or I will loan it from the library at some point. And then I've only done this once so far, but I found an audiobook on Libra FM that was, I think, under $5. And I was like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use right now. It's also on my horror list. So I snagged that in the sale over this past weekend. And so I'm not focusing on anything that's digital because I really don't have anything that's digital. So we will be focusing on my physical TBR. So let me count real quick how many books I do have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're under 20 books. Oh my God. Usually my TBR always has 20 books. So that's fantastic. So here's the goal. I want to have at least 5 books that I'm definitely going to read during December, and then outside of that 5 I can read whatever. I want to do this in a way where I am fulfilling some small goals. This is so intimidating. I did not realize how intimidating this was, and this is under 20 books. I shouldn't be that intimidated. Okay, so I looked at my Storygraph. I just completed my 29th book of the year. Yes, go me. I know that's not as big as other people's lists of what they've read in the year, but my goal this year personally was to read 12 books, and I completely blew that out of the water. And if I read more consistently this year, I probably would have read a lot more books, but I'm very proud of myself. So with that goal being out of the way, the other thing I wanted to do was make sure I was reading diversely this year. So for every white author I read, I wanted to read a non-white author. And I've actually done very, very well. I'm very proud of myself in this, and I need to just read one more book by a non-white author and I will be 50-50. That means, God, I hate doing this kind of thinking. Okay, so if I pick one to fulfill the 50-50, then 4 books should even it out still, 2 and 2, right? I hope, I believe. The other thing that I usually look towards in my TBR pile, especially when I'm not pulled to a certain book for the month or what I'm mood reading basically, I try to see which book has been on my TBR the longest. Now, I don't specifically remember when I buy books, but I use the system of if I can't remember when I bought this book or received it as a gift, then that means it's part of the it's been on the pile for way too long. We should probably read that. And I have a good chunk of those books, so let me pull those out real quick and talk about them. These 2? Well, actually these 4, right? So in total, I have 6 books that I deem have been longest on my TBR currently. From the first pile, the larger book pile, we have The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This one came out, I believe, in 2020, and I hopped on this bandwagon because I was really excited and I loved the cover of these books. But the trilogy wasn't finished at the time. The trilogy is now finished. So that's how long it's been. Okay, and this one is about in an empire ruled by bone shard magic. The former heir to the emperor will fight to reclaim her magic and her place on the throne in this stunning epic fantasy debut. Very simple. There's more to it, but I don't like reading the full summary if, I like being surprised. Andrea Stewart is also an author of color, so this would be going towards my 50-50 as well as longest on my TBR. The next book that has also been on the TBR for a very long time is Black Sun by Roanhorse. This book has been recommended a lot recently, I've seen, especially because November in the United States is Indigenous Heritage Month. So I've seen this come around again and again for recommendations. I believe this is a trilogy. Not sure. Let's read a synopsis, shall we? Ooh. That's pretty. I have not opened this book in a very long time. It's the book one of the Between Earth and Sky trilogy, inspired by the civilization of pre-Columbian Americas and woven into a tale of celestial prophecies, political intrigue, and forbidden magic. A god will return when the earth and sky converge under the black sun. Ooh, I like the sound of that, honestly. That sounds really, really fun. Rebecca is also a person of color, so that would also fulfill the 50-50 challenge. Then, these two books are by Devin Madson. One is called The Blood Whispers, the other is Rewrite the Storm. These ones have been on my TBR for quite a while now. I remember being on Twitter and asking the author how to start the series because both the prequel series, which is this smaller book, and the main series, I guess you would say, were both being published at the same time. And she said you could just start wherever. I still am unsure where I want to start. I think I might just start with the main, Rewrite the Storm, just to see if I like the world in general. And then if I do enjoy it and I read all three books, because I believe this one is also a trilogy, then I'll just continue reading the prequel series. The last two books that have been longest on my TBR are Chasing Graves by Ben Galley and Skullsworn by Brian Staveley. Okay, I don't really remember what these two books were about, but on the back of Chasing Graves, he's a master locksmith, a selfish bastard, and of his first night in Erixis, Stone Cold Dead. So that's fun. Definitely up my alley, I'm not gonna lie. And then Skullsworn is, I'm gonna say Pyre? Pyrre. Pyre Lecotter is not, to her mind, an assassin, not a murderer. She is a priestess. At least she will be once she passes her final trial. The problem isn't the killing, the problem rather is love. For to complete her trial, Pyre has 14 days to kill the 7 people enumerated in an ancient song, including the one who made your mind and body sing with love, who will not come again. Okay, I read a little bit more of Skullsworn because there wasn't like a one line. It does say it's a new novel in the world of the Emperor's Blades, which I feel like this means it's a subset of a main series. Oh yeah, there's a whole trilogy at least on the back of this cover. So I don't know if I'm reading these out of order or not, but we'll see. So those are the 6 books that have been longest on my TBR. I'm the most interested in 3 of them, and those 3 being here. So far so good. Also, all of these seem to be under 500 pages. If they are not, then they're close to 500 pages or less, so that's good. I can't have the whole month being like 500 plus books. Okay, so then I just need 2 more books to fulfill the quota that I want for December. So I'm looking at really big books. Damn. Okay, so I think we've got 3 fantasy books, at least specifically in this pile. So let's choose some books that are not specifically fantasy. This is very hard. So I think I've narrowed down to my last 2 books to choose from. And I really want to keep reading sci-fi regularly as much as I read fantasy because I haven't read enough sci-fi and I'm realizing that I probably would definitely enjoy the genre. So I'm going to do some more reading in another series. So with that in mind, and also for my horror list in mind, I have grabbed my last 2 books that I'm going to specifically add to this December TBR. The first one is The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. This one was on my maybe I will read it in November, and then I chose to do Children of Time instead, which that was a great time. Really loved that book. So now I'm going to try and read this book. This one was specifically about 2 people that do not like each other, or specifically one person doesn't like the other person, and she's been positioned to be the bodyguard of the guy that she doesn't like, and then all of a sudden they're sent to a planet that is desolate and there's nothing on it, and they have to survive. So I'm not sure what's about to happen with this, but I'm very intrigued, and it's very different from Children of Time in the storyline, so I'm also excited to see if this is something I will also enjoy as much as I did with that book. This one I've been anticipating for a while, and I'm very excited that it will be my horror book for the month, and that is Tender is the Flesh. This is also a small book, so in case any of these books that are much larger bog me down a little bit, or I feel like a reading slump is coming on, I'll just read this and pick it up because it's so small. I am very excited. Many people in my comments over here and on TikTok have wanted me to read this book as soon as possible, honestly. I'm excited to start digging in. I won't be reading this because I have just finished a different horror book that will be in the reading vlog next week. So I'm going to space out my horror reading, but when I get to this, I'll be very excited. Okay, so with that in mind, I have my 5 books. I now have 14 books in my TBR, so I'm excited about that. However, I did procure 2 more books over this past weekend, so that's fun. I'm trying to not buy books right now because Christmas is coming, and I know some people want to buy me some type of present for Christmas, and so I should just like refrain and just give them a list of all the books that I do want or I'm interested in. But for now, it looks like my pile is looking good. I do feel like I need to fill in some gaps, especially when it comes to all of the challenges I want to do in the next year, which I will also be posting a video about that later this month, talking about my endeavors into reading for the following year. And I'm really excited about posting that. I've been doing a lot of work making it focused on the fun of reading and not necessarily achieving so many goals so that I'm like overworked and underpaid type of mentalities. So I've been working on that list for myself. I'm hoping it's going to be very, very fun, and it might be very intimidating, but I'm excited to jump into those challenges. But again, in a different video, I'll get more into it. Okay, so here is the final stack. I'm excited to see what I think about all of these books in the future. Thank you so much for being here. While I perused my books to figure out what I was going to read in December, let me know what you're reading in December or any good books you have read recently, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!